Have you ever seriously thought about what it takes to live to be 100 years old? It's this question we've been asking forever, right? But today, hitting that century mark isn't just a fantasy. It's becoming a reality for millions. So we're going to dig into the surprising science behind what it takes to live a super long life. I mean, just look at this number. By 2050, we're expecting to see almost 3.7 million people who are 100 years old or more. That's incredible. This isn't some rare fluke anymore. It's a huge shift in our world, and it's happening right now. So yeah, that leads to the big question. What's their secret? What are they doing that the rest of us aren't? Is it about where they live? Is it the food they eat, the choices they make? Or is it just all baked into their DNA from the start? To really get to the bottom of this, we're going to look at the whole puzzle from 3 different angles. Think of it like a camera lens. We'll start with the big, wide view of our environment. Then we'll zoom in on our personal choices and our mindset. And then we're going all the way in, right down to the microscopic level of our DNA. Okay, so let's start with that big picture, the world around us. Because it turns out your zip code might actually hold some of the biggest clues to how long you're going to live. To figure this out, we're looking at this massive study out of Washington State. They tracked over 144,000 people to see what things in their environment were linked to making it to 100. And some of the answers, well, they really challenge what you might think. Now, some of the findings are pretty intuitive, right? Living in a neighborhood where you can easily walk around was a huge plus. It just makes sense. You're more active, you can get to shops, you see your neighbors. Same thing for living in a wealthier area with more resources and a good mix of working age people. That all points to a more supportive community. But here's where the study just throws a total curveball. We're always told that more education equals a longer, healthier life. And usually that's true. But for this specific group, people over 75, the study found the opposite. Not having a high school diploma was actually linked to a higher chance of reaching 100. It just feels completely backwards, doesn't it? I mean, how on earth could less education be linked to a longer life? What is going on here? Well, the researchers have a couple of really interesting ideas. First, when you get to be extremely old, your underlying biology, your sheer physical resilience, might just become more important than the social advantages you got from education decades ago. It's like biology trumps biography. And second, you have to think about history. For the generation they studied, not finishing high school was way more common, so it wasn't the same kind of red flag it might be considered today. Okay, so where you live clearly plays a big role. But what about who you are as a person? Let's zoom our lens in from the neighborhood to the individual and see what choices and personality traits might make a difference. And for this, we're turning to this amazing study, the Honolulu Heart Program. Get this, they followed thousands of Japanese American men for almost 60 years. That is an absolute treasure trove of data on what goes into a long and healthy life. One of the coolest things to come out of the study is the idea that there is more than one way to get to 100. They found 3 distinct paths. You have the survivors. These are people who got a major disease before they turned 80, but they just kept on going. Then you've got the delayers. They managed to put off any serious illness until they were at least 80. And then the rarest of them all, the escapers, who hit 100 without ever being diagnosed with a major age-related disease. Wow. So what did the guys who lived the longest have in common? Well, the study pointed to a few key things. Your genes definitely played a part. Having a dad who lived a long time was a good sign. But so were your choices. Having a strong group of friends and family, keeping your mind sharp, and yep, you guessed it. The big ones like avoiding diabetes, not smoking, and not drinking too much. All crucial. So we've looked at our environment, we've looked at our choices. But what about the stuff we can't control? The code that's written into every single one of our cells. It's time to zoom in one last time, all the way down to our DNA. And according to the leading researchers in this field, the people at the New England Centenarians study, the older and older you get, the more important your genes become. For people who live past 100, there's a really strong signal that their DNA is giving them a serious leg up. But hold on. It's not as simple as finding one single fountain of youth gene. Science has not found some magic switch we can flip to live forever. The real story is way more complex and honestly a lot more interesting. Instead, longevity is what scientists call polygenetic. That's a fancy word that just means it's influenced by lots of different genes all working together. Think of it like a championship sports team. You don't win with just one superstar. You win because the whole team is solid, and every player makes a small positive contribution. Together, these genes build a super resilient profile that helps you fight off disease. And here's where it all connects. One of those key genes, called FOXO3, was also a major predictor of long life in that Hawaii study we just talked about. See, it's all linked. Okay, we have zoomed from the neighborhood to the individual all the way down to the gene. Now it's time to pull the lens back out and see what the whole picture looks like when you put all these pieces of the puzzle together. So if you're going to write a recipe for reaching 100 based on all this science, it would have 3 main ingredients. First, you need the right environment, a supportive, stable community. Second, you add the right lifestyle, strong friendships, and healthy habits. And third, you need the right genes, that protected biological wiring that helps you be resilient. And that right there is the crucial point. There is no single secret. There's no magic pill, no perfect diet, no one miracle gene. Living an extremely long life is about the powerful way your environment, your choices, and your biology all come together and interact over an entire lifetime. Which leaves us with one last pretty fascinating thought to chew on. As we keep unlocking these secrets and understanding how all these pieces fit together, are we heading toward a future where living to 100 isn't this amazing exception, but maybe just the new normal? Will 100 become the new 80? Makes you think, doesn't it?